we'd love to know where everyone's joining us from tonight. So please add your location to the chat box and say hello. Over to you, Carl.
Thank you very much, Astrid, and good evening, everybody, and welcome to Living the Rural Dream in Portugal. It's going to be a great evening. We've got some really special guests for you. Luke and Sarah from Luke and Sarah's Off-Grid Life YouTube sensations, everybody. And new to Portugal, very fresh in Portugal, Kimberly and Phil, who have got the most amazing story to tell of visualizing their life in Portugal, seeing a property, and then actually completing the whole process in less than a month. So I'm sure you'll want to quiz them about that as the evening progresses. Humberto will make an appearance tonight. He is a sensation from within our community who knows a lot about alternative technology. So it's great to have Humberto here as well. It feels like it's quite off-grid already, doesn't it, everybody? This evening, it might be. I think the phrase is glitchy and laggy. There might be a bit of that. These folks are in the outback of Portugal, basically. Behind Kimberly and Phil, you can see Monsanto, the most Portuguese of Portuguese villages. Look, thank you, folks. Look at that. That is your actual Monsanto there, the village of. It has so many awards to its name, and it's a quintessential Portuguese village made of hobbit-type granite rocks and caves. Luke and Sarah, Central Portugal. People who have, I think, 2 channels now. I think Luke's got his own specialist spin-off. So there's all sorts we could ask them tonight about living the rural dream in Portugal. Just want to check into the comments because something alarmed me a little earlier on. It says, help everyone. Now, is that a typo? Paul Richards, it says, help everybody. Is that a request for help? Or is that a typo? Or is that an instruction out of the kindness of the human spirit, just to help everybody? I don't know. I hope you're all right, Paul. Let us know in the comments. Let's begin now, shall we? Without further ado, and talk to Luke and Sarah. Tell us a bit about yourselves, if you will, folks, where you come from and where you are in Portugal now and how you're living the rural dream in Portugal.
Okay, we're both from Malta, the sunny islands of Malta and the overpopulated islands of Malta, which is why we came here. And we're here in central Portugal. We've been here for the past 3.5 years. And we've been setting up very slowly, setting up our off-grid life, pretty much, our homestead.
Learning everything from scratch.
Okay.
In the Castelo Branco region.
Yes, and that's a very interesting position to have taken, not Castelo Branco region necessarily, although I'm sure we will talk more about that, but you've thrown yourselves into this, like you say there, Sarah, everything from scratch, including your great love of animals. I know you have, who is it you have there? Molly and Timmy, I think, also stars of this show.
Yeah, Molly, Timmy, and we have 3 goats now, and bunch of chickens and 1 lonely guinea fowl.
1 lonely guinea. Okay. And this whole good life, rural life thing that you're doing, pretty much all of it from scratch. You've no previous experience in doing these things, right?
No. I mean, Malta is pretty much a big city. You know, when I grew up, we never even had a garden. So yeah, and we did spend many years traveling, you know, and not living in Malta, but still, when it comes to off-grid living and everything that goes with it, it was all new to us.
Incredible. Yeah. So I'm putting in the address to your channel right now into the chat so that don't watch those videos at the moment, folks. You can watch those later, but that's how to stay in touch with these wonderful folks. We'll come back to you to find out why you chose Castelo Branco, of course. What lies ahead? How difficult is it really? You know, because there is an absolutely lovely side to this that I think people can relate to, but it's also difficult as you're prepared to share and say, I know from talking to you before, so we'll let people into that as well. But before we go there, and do get your questions into the chat, folks, let's talk to Kimberly and Phil. Resplendent and wonderful as they are in front of Monsanto there, they are celebrating some very special news today. Can you fill us in? Where you're from? Where have you ended up? And what's this incredible process that you've been involved in the last month?
Well, we've both been living in Milton Keynes in England for the last 10 years before this. And we came out to Portugal on the 20th of July. And we viewed this property where we're sitting today 3.5 weeks ago. And today we signed the deeds for it. So we now own it as of 7 hours ago. Woo!
Wow. Quite incredible. And I don't know how much we'll go into this evening, but you are proponents of the whole idea of the law of attraction, thoughts become things. I know, you know, you've been literally visualizing, creating, co-creating this experience. And this is the proof, the pudding that got signed. Sorry, I'm mixing my metaphors now.
Yeah.
But this is this thing, this whole process in action, and the results are there. You're sat on the results. It would seem.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, although we have been practicing the law of attraction and visualizing, we've done that. We're amazed at how fast and how smoothly the whole process has gone.
Right.
Because we visualized this we visualized having a happy home somewhere with a spectacular view, and that was kind of as specific as it got. And we were then flexible on the detail, and here we are. So I can talk you through later this sort of more specifics of that, but that's the sort of the basics of it.
And I'd just like to add, we'd never been to Portugal before this trip.
Yeah.
I want the big view. I'm looking at the speaker view at the moment. But at that moment, I want to see the gallery view, to see people going, what? They did what? It's quite amazing. And another part of this, a thing that I think people will find interesting and enviable possibly, is you're on a camper van trip. You've driven from the UK, right, to do this?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, we got a camper van about 2.5 years ago now, with the idea to go traveling for 2 or 3 years, and eventually we thought we'll travel through Europe, we'll find some land somewhere either in the UK or Europe, and one day we'll build our dream home. And so we set off in January 2020, gave up our home, which we were renting at the time. We thought we'd no point having that if we're traveling, so we went off traveling. And 6 weeks later, we went into lockdown, the first of 3 lockdowns. So we haven't done a lot of moving around since January 20. And then this July was the first trip into Europe that we did. But during lockdown, we just decided, look, because travel may well be restricted in the future for some time to come, we thought, let's do everything in reverse and let's buy the plot first and have a home here first, and then go traveling from there. But at least we've always got somewhere to come back to. And hey, it's not a bad place to be locked down. We won't say no to another lockdown if it has to happen. We won't be too hard up.
Absolutely. And I'm sure in the comments soon we'll see, are you renting rooms yet? And Louise already saying, I need that law of attraction magic. So a fantastic story to unfold further. I'm going to go back to Luke and Sarah just for a moment, if I can, and talk to you about Castelo Branco. This is an area that doesn't necessarily get the limelight, right, Luke and Sarah? I mean, unless of course you are a homesteader and off-gridder, then it's the epicenter of such things in Portugal. But can you tell us a little bit more about that region for some of the folks here tonight who might have been thinking about Porto, Lisboa, or the Algarve? Why might they take a second look at Castelo Branco, and why did you guys choose there?
To be honest, we first wanted to find something close to the sea, but it was way out of our budget. And we spent about a month going around all of Portugal looking at properties, and Castelo Branco just kept coming up, and the value for money seemed incredible to us. We kept seeing these properties for reasonable prices and amazing pieces of land. And we did make our way up here, obviously, and it's even every piece of property we see of our friends or people we meet, each one blows us away. It's just so beautiful, eh? And I mean, okay, we don't have the sea, but we do have loads of river beaches and lakes and all rivers and stuff. So that kind of,
And not only, like, we're close to Spain too, and it's really easy to go to if we wanted to Porto and Lisbon, because it's just one train and one. It's just perfect. It's just what we were looking for, really. And
there's also a lot of microclimates around. I don't know what the rest of Portugal is like, but it's very different from even on our own land. Like from here where we're sitting now, and we walk down to our yurt, there's actually a big difference. We can actually tell the temperature drop. As soon as you walk down the hill, there's like this temperature drop. And a lot of people's properties are different, weather-wise, climate-wise. So that definitely helps.
Yeah, for sure. I saw you yesterday as well, or the day before yesterday, fishing rainbow trout out of the river, I think. That's all part of this.
We've been trying to do a bit of fishing. Yeah, we've been getting together, a few of us.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing. So could you tell us a bit more about your particular process then? So you zoomed in on Castelo Branco. I mean, people have only got to take a cursory look on the web to see how fantastic the value is there. If they want land to grow on, it's abundant. If they want a ruin to redevelop, there's a lot of that going on in Castelo Branco. How was your process from, or how did you actually find the place that you ended up with? I mean, how difficult is that? Is it a case of being spoilt for choice for one thing? And is that part of the problem? And then, go on.
We were, at the time when we found this, we felt pretty lucky because there are a lot of properties that aren't legal, you know that, right? I mean, you know, we had just gone to this real estate agent and we had seen about 3 or 4 different properties. And we went in and straight away, she was really nice and upfront. And she's like, do you want a legal property with a habitation license or not? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, 85% of the properties have no habitation license that are advertised.
Really?
I was like, okay. And we really got disheartened.
Yes.
And literally that same day, I had seen this site on a real estate agency, which isn't like a super popular one. And yeah, it just said 17 hectares, river and all this. And I called them. And yeah, there's a ruin, which is pre-1951. And we got the, what's it called? The certificate of free of use or whatever. So you can get a habitation license and everything once we build the ruin. Yeah. And we were completely blown away. I mean, we were really lucky. It was only on for a couple of days. I think one other person came to see it, but when they saw the ruin, it was like beyond what they wanted to do.
They saw all the work, that had to go into it. I said, no, thank you.
Yes,
and yeah, we just snatched it up straight away. I mean, we knew we wanted it, and we didn't care, and we just went for it.
Even though we had the list, because we were doing our research, and like people said, oh, I wish I had bought a property with a lot of fruit trees, and I wish I had this, and I wish I had that. And so I had written down everything that people said they wish they had, and I was looking for it in our property too. But then, and I said, okay, this one has a lot of fruit trees. Our place, compared to the size of it, had hardly anything of the like fruit trees and all that, but we just forgot about everything. And just, we are the view when we're sitting in our piece of land. So we're just so happy with it. As soon as we saw it, we were,
I guess when you visit the place, when you know, everyone tells you that. Everyone who buys a place, they know, they go around 50 places. As soon as they go to the one they end up buying, you just know. I don't know what it is, but
yeah, that's very interesting. And how long did that process take then, if I may ask? So you fell in love, you knew, and then
we were really lucky actually, because we fell in love with it, and we gave an offer, and they came back pretty much straight away with a yes. But then these things take time. Even once you say yes, then there's all that. You have to wait to see if the neighbors want it first and all that.
Yes.
But the owner told us we can move on to it straight away. Yeah. So we just bought a caravan. We didn't look very hard, because there weren't many caravans around. So we couldn't be very picky.
Yeah.
We bought the worst one, I think, that we could have bought, but we moved here almost immediately. So we started living on it, even though we knew maybe it wouldn't be ours. Because the guy said, so you'll just take care of it and you have a place to live for free. And then if it doesn't work out, we just say bye and go our separate ways. But it really worked out well for us.
What happened was because it was in 3 different articles, I think. And one of them, which is where we have a water mill down by the river, was a separate article on the Caderneta. Yeah. And our lawyer said, this isn't theirs. They don't have the paperwork for it. So we had to wait.
Right.
We thought for him to buy it, so then we can buy the whole thing, because we didn't want to buy part of it and then get ripped off by someone. You know what? Sometimes it happens.
Yeah.
So, and then eventually he found out that, because this guy who sold it to us had inherited it, he found out that his father had bought it like 20 or 30 odd years ago, and he found the paperwork. But we did live here in a caravan for about 3 months until we actually signed the paperwork, and it was legally ours.
So by the time it was ours, we already had a garden going and land around here and Molly. So yeah, we worked on it straight too.
That is truly amazing. I just want to rewind a bit to that moment, the thing you just said. Okay, I'll sell the house to you. This is going to take a little while, but you can move in straight away.
We asked because we were renting a place down the road for like 200-300 euros a month, and we thought we might as well, instead of put that money into rent, try and buy a caravan or something and live for free, you know. And I mean, there was absolutely nothing here, so I mean, we still had to set up. Eventually, we still had to set up electricity, solar, and water and everything. So I mean, we had a little generator to charge our electronics. And we had bucket showers in the beginning,
we tried not to spend too much money, because if it all went
south,
and we just had to leave the
I think you got a bit of a free,
because it wouldn't be ours, at least we wouldn't have spent so much money on it. But
free rent,
free rent, and he knew there was someone here taking care. We're already clearing land for him, so he said, okay, it's going to be.
That's the thing. Yes. That's the beautiful thing, though, isn't it? That I can't. It could happen, but I'm thinking it might not happen so much in Lisbon and Porto when you buy an apartment. It's like, okay, we've shaken hands on it. You can move in if you like. Just bring your stuff over, and we'll just take care of the paperwork. I mean, this to me is part of the rural heart and the heart of rurality in Portugal. This is how people are, right? This was done on trust and goodness. And human-centeredness and how fabulous that it's turned out perfectly well for all concerned in this instance. So absolutely beautiful. Phil was definitely making a few affirmative sounds and gestures about the process that you went through. Particularly one of them, Phil, you know when you know. Is that what happened with you guys there?
Oh, we'd seen the first two properties. We went to an estate agent. We'd seen our first property on the Saturday we'd found it on Idealista, I think it was. But we'd also had lots of people had talked about Maria at Remax in Castelo Branco and lots of positive reviews. And we thought, well, let's see what they've got on their books. I know I'm going to pay more for it, but there may be an easier way for us to do it than going through months of trying to negotiate with 5 parcel owners to get them all to agree to a price, etc., etc. So we thought we'll take this route, and they brought us to. This was the third. They had 6 for us. We'd taken a photo and said, "Look, this is the view we want," and it was the view as we were driving out of Castelo Branco towards Monsanto. And Kimberly had taken one of her epic photographs. Yeah. And we said, this is the view we want. What have you got? And they came up with 6 properties. This was the third of the 6 properties. And we stood next to the building that's going to be our house. Kimberly gets upset because I keep calling it the shed. I may call the house the shed. I don't know yet. But we stood here and we looked across in 3 directions and we could see mountains. To our left, to our right, and behind us, and in front of us was about 10,000 square meters of beautiful land that we thought, well, maybe we can do something exciting with this. And we knew instantly that we had to have it.
Amazing.
And we also had we decided we didn't want to give away too much to the estate agent when we were going around properties. It seemed, too ultra enthusiastic. So we decided we had a code word between us. And we thought, right, so the code is going to be, if you like it, you say to each other, oh, we could grow tomatoes here. So we sort of looked at the first property, we could grow tomatoes here. And with the first one, we actually quite liked. Yes. And when we got to this, we both turned to each other and said, we could definitely grow tomatoes here. So that was it.
Yeah. And we didn't bother with the other 3.
Did you not? That was it.
Yeah, that was it.
We just knew
at that point.
Yeah.
That's part of your great faith, I think, there again, because some people would have hedged their bets a bit there, wouldn't they? Say, okay, we'll take a look at the others just in case, maybe got themselves more confused, but you knew this is the one and you focused in on it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I think part of the belief system is that we know that if this, for whatever reason, hadn't happened, that it wouldn't have happened because there was something better coming towards us.
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
And you can't see that until you're looking backwards at the whole thing.
Yes, yes, indeed. Very profound, Phil, as I've come to expect from you, sir. So I've been told just a bit of background on Castelo Branco. Thank you, Thomas, for this. Thomas from our Ask Our Expats team is in the building. Castelo Branco is perhaps the most interior of the interior of Portugal, and those areas have experienced substantial depopulation, primarily in favour of the major cities, but also with people of working age moving abroad. Paul also saying "boa sorte" on your adventure to both of you there as well, Phil and Kimberly. This is an interesting issue. I mean, in many ways, that's your gain, isn't it? That is depopulated. You found yourself a nice, quiet place to be. But I think as well, knowing the four of you as I think I do, having spoken to you before, you're really into the regeneration of central Portugal as well. You understand the beauty and value of central Portugal, and it's interesting. I think that this should be taking place. I mean, it's a sort of pet subject of mine, but the inward investment where people have had to migrate for economic reasons seems important to me. That these buildings, before they all turn into ruins and collapse for good, that they are put to some good use, and that people are doing small scale agriculture and maybe working in partnership, as I think you are, Luke, for sure. I mean, you've been there for a while, and you, Sarah, you're not building some sort of expat gated community there. You're totally integrated with what's going on. Tell me about that and your hopes for the regeneration of central Portugal.
Well, like you said, buildings being completely abandoned and everything and falling apart. I think one of the bigger worries is the land being so overgrown and crazily overgrown, and the fire danger, obviously. So that's a huge problem. People not taking care of their land. As for regenerating, I mean, yeah, it's going to be slow for us because we do have 17 hectares. But yeah, we do plan to get some workers in once we're set up for it. But it's a slow process. Yeah, clearing land, replanting, you know, it takes time. Yeah, it takes a lot of time and effort. But definitely all, like, our Portuguese neighbors really appreciate what we're doing. You know, sometimes you go onto these Facebook groups and you see a lot of, I don't know, people saying, oh, you know, property is going up, you're coming to this region and because of all you expats coming here and all this. But there's so much property over here that is completely empty. And the reaction we personally get from all the Portuguese people over here is nothing but positive. Eh? Yeah. Nothing but positive. They love it that we're I mean, like, especially us, where we're going to put in at least 20 years of work into our land, you know, before we can't do it anymore. Yeah. They really appreciate that, you know, because, I mean, we could be anywhere really. Yeah. And they know that their kids have gone off to Lisbon or to Porto or to other parts of the world, as they always do, you know, and left this place. I mean, there's so many ghost towns next to us, just down the road here, about 20 minutes away, next to San Andreas, the Tomas, I think. Okay. There's like 4 or 5 that I know of only, completely abandoned little villages. I mean, nothing there, no one living there, you know, and it's all getting dilapidated. Sorry.
And I think your neighbours, I think the Portuguese people are seeing that you've got the Portuguese work ethic for sure there. Talking of which, Paul, Louise, Lottie, maybe Paul, maybe Louise asking, hi, Luke, how much land do you need to be self-sufficient? Now, is that the idea? Do you want to be self-sufficient? Do you want to be dependent, interdependent? How's it going to work for you? How do you see living rurally and homesteading? What's your particular philosophy on that?
Well, we do have a master plan for our land, but we can't really talk about it because we don't want to talk about it before we actually put in the project with the camera, because it's something that isn't around here. As for self-sufficiency, what's that?
We'll get you back for that one.
Yeah. It might take a bit, but when we put in the project and everything, and then we'll talk about it. Right. But as for self-sufficiency, yeah, it's a very, very slow road, but you're always improving, you know. I mean, vegetable wise and everything, we try to concentrate on perennials and trees, because we didn't have many here at all. But yeah, it's slow, it's definitely slow. And we do need.
Is that your dream though, to become, you know
as much as possible?
As much. I don't think we'll ever be totally self-sufficient, because we'll need a few things like I don't know. I mean, rice and flour. We're not going to grow all these things.
No,
it's just like there's a lot of hard work if we're going to do everything from scratch.
Yes, rice does look like really hard work.
Very, very difficult to be totally self-sufficient without bartering or whatever, because you're not going to grow everything realistically.
And I don't think that's in the Portuguese model either, is it? It's so much about sharing in the countryside, isn't it? I'm sure you've been given one or two things by neighbours.
Yeah.
And apart from that, there's just so many like-minded people in our region over here. It's definitely very popular with that type of lifestyle over here.
All right. Well, we'll come back to you, Sarah, specifically to talk about animals in just a moment. But I need to. I don't know if have we lost Phil and Kimberly? Are you still there, guys? Because I want to find out what your aspirations are with your land, self-sufficiency, that sort of thing. Or have we lost them? Have they popped up to Monsanto? Maybe. I think they've lost their connection. They're new to Portugal. They might have run out of gigabytes on their dongle or something like that. So, but quite an amazing story. I'm sure they'll be back in just a moment. So, Sarah. It seems you are quite keen on the husbandry side of things, and you're not averse to you're growing your collection of animals there on the homestead.
No, the more the merrier, I think. Even though they're hard work,
right,
and they take up all my day, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Tell us about them. Who are they?
Okay, so for now it's very small. So the chickens are really easy to take care of. They take up absolutely no time except to clean their coop and just to feed them. So they really don't take much time. But the goats, just because we're not set up properly yet, we have a nice, and the
Timmy's here, everybody.
He's my golden boy. And not on the computer.
That's what he'll want to do. Yeah,
that's what he wants to do. Yes.
Timmy, stop it, Timmy. We've already lost some guests. We can't be losing any more. Thank you very much.
So the goats were, even though the chickens took a bit of getting used to too. The first summer was really, really hard for me and for them because we bought meat chickens by mistake. Well, we asked for egg-laying chickens, but they gave us what they gave us because of the language problem, I guess. But then we found out that these chickens are not supposed to live for a very long. They're not bred to live a long life like egg-laying chickens do. And they ended up getting pretty fat too. So in summer they suffered a lot, and we lost like 3 in a matter of 3 days to the heat.
Oh, I see. Okay.
It was really, really horrible. And then I had to learn how to take care of them and to cool them down in summer. And that's what we're doing now for them. We have 2 left from the first chickens that we first bought, the meat ones that are still giving us eggs. So now we're just trying to keep them from dying in summer, which is
good job. Hard. Yes, because it's kind of hot. That's something we haven't mentioned so far. I mean, what sort of temperatures are you experiencing at the moment there?
It's the past week has been 35. I think it went up to 39.
It was 40 on one of the days.
Yeah, we had a bit of a heat wave. It went up to 42, I think, the hottest this year.
Yeah.
Incredible.
42. But hopefully from tomorrow, it's going to be 33 and under, which I'm looking forward to a lot.
Yeah, because you do a lot of building work, don't you? So I guess it's a lot.
Yeah, it's just so it really is frustrating that for that 2 months, you're kind of on and off with the work because you can only work at certain hours of the day, realistically.
Okay.
I try.
Yeah.
And like 3 or 4 days ago, I was at a friend's house who's giving me a bunch of felled pine trees.
Like you do.
And I'm gonna mill them all up and everything. And I was trying to, because I wanted to clear his place because he was giving them to me. And I just spent 1 day working in 39-degree heat, just lugging them around and putting them in places where I can work. And I'm telling you, I just spent 3 days inside under the fan with blisters, just trying to recover.
Every muscle in his body hurting.
It's tough.
Really?
It's tough working in the heat.
Okay.
A lot of respect to Portuguese builders, and you see these guys like at Pete Bleacher's house. Pete, obviously.
Yeah.
He's building a pool at the moment, and I went around to see them. And they're working out there at 2 in the afternoon. In the sun. I don't know how they do it. I was like, wow, you guys are like
Superheroes. They are superheroes, aren't they? But there you go. A little insight, because people look at it. That's what it's all about. Like living the rural dream in Portugal. I have to be lovely, playing backgammon, sipping my own orange juice, eating my own salads. But that's the other side of it, isn't it? Becoming a lumberjack, Luke. Who knew?
I'm a lumberjack. I'm okay.
Very good. Here they are. Phil and Kimberly are back. So you guys, I wanted to ask you, and we will come back to the menagerie in a minute, Sarah. Sorry, I interrupted myself there. But is it too early to say what sort of homestead or self-sufficiency or level of rurality you guys are looking for in that way?
Well, I suppose.
What do you want to say? Wow.
It's all flexible at the moment. I mean, I think we'd like to have a vegetable garden. We'd like to grow some fruit, that kind of thing. But I guess we're looking for, we want the rural life, which is what we've got, and that's fantastic. And to live the life in the community. So we've already made contact with the local chicken shop. So we've ordered our chicken and roast potatoes for Saturday. Really self-sufficient, but you know what I mean. And then but I guess we're doing what do you call it,
rainwater harvest. We're going to do
rainwater harvesting, some solar panels, that kind of thing. But I guess it's a light version of the good life.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you're going the kind of eco house route and low impact sustainability, which I take my hat off to you. In fact, we're doing that on the Happy Homesteaders show on Monday at 6:15. We're looking at a house in the UK, which is, I think, the only heat comes from the cat or something, and that's all that's required. That's all that's required. So we're interviewing Tom Evans, the owner of that house. But I love it. I love the sound of what you're doing there. And I have to say, you guys are so intuitive. Because if the first contacts you've made in your village is the chicken shop, that is the heart and soul of the community. You've got to the right, isn't it? Just
she is the capo di tutti capi. She is the absolute boss of the village. I promise you. Everything that happens in Monsanto happens through Adelina. She is fantastic.
Yeah,
she really, really is. Couldn't have gone to a better person.
Absolutely right, and you've done it the right way, because in Portugal, people need to know this. Sometimes in some places you just can't bowl into the chicken shop and ask for a chicken. You do have to order in advance, don't you? Maybe some days in advance. So that's a really good tip as well. I don't know how you guys knew that. Maybe from bitter experience a couple of weeks ago. I don't know, but
no.
Right.
We've met our neighbours actually, and funnily enough, all our neighbours, although we can't see anybody around us, they're all English or Dutch, Israeli. So we've met them all, and everyone stops. That's what's so amazing. Everybody stops as they're driving by. It stops to say hello.
Figs, apples,
and they've told us. We picked their brains about it, and they told us about the chicken shop and Adelina. That's the place to go.
Amazing. So you've picked their brains and their fruit by the sound of it, Phil.
They gave it to her. They just came with bags of it. It was like. Oh, wow. This is just so lovely.
Yeah,
so lovely.
And Louise is echoing this sentiment. I proudly showed my kitchen garden to our neighbours, Paul, Lottie and Louise in central Portugal. The following day, they gave us 2 kilos of tomatoes, beans, peppers, 3 litres of red wine. Sometimes, you move into the city maybe, and you might get a bottle of red wine, but they got 3 litres of red wine here, folks. Hold on a minute. Not just 3 litres of red wine, but 1.5 litres of aguardente as well. Probably some homemade fire water there. A coffee jar of olives. Maybe we're not doing as well as we thought. They probably they thought you were needing a bit of help there, maybe for your larder for the winter. A question from Alan. We aren't looking to become self-sufficient, but are interested in perhaps living in the country instead of a town or smaller city. Wondering if access to shops, services and medical care is a problem in the countryside. I mean, I guess with the research you've done, both parties here, Luke and Sarah, do you want to address that? And we'll come back to Phil and Kimberly, who look like they might have frozen up.
No, we're not frozen.
So access to shops, medical care.
Yes, we do actually. We have access to.
Yeah,
we are pretty close.
We're pretty close to the city, really. So even though when you're here, you feel like that you're totally out in the wild, 25 minutes and you're in town and there's everything, Mm-hmm. And even all our friends that we visit, I mean, it's not that far really. You're never more than an hour away from a big city with, well, a big city, Castelo Branco, you know, it's a city, but more like a very large town, really, you know. But the hospital is good. Sarah's had experience with the
hospital here, and they were awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, everything is. Yeah, we are really lucky actually, because when this is exactly what we wanted. We are living like we live with nobody around us because we can't see anyone. We're just totally cut off once we come down that road, but we are just so close to everything.
Yes,
which is good, which is what we wanted.
And you know where to go when you need stuff, a trip into town.
I mean, Portugal isn't that big, I mean, really, Castelo Branco region isn't that big. You know, you're never, like I said, more than an hour away from anywhere, I don't think,
I don't know.
I mean, if it's 2.5 hours to Lisbon, you know, so
true.
Yeah, true. But by American standards, it's all very easily done. Okay, Thomas chipping in here. Thank you, Thomas. Even in isolated areas, you may find regular traveling salespeople. In our hamlet, we get daily bread and cakes at weekends. Look at this. So they're quite rural, but I get all of this, but not much else. Older people get meals on wheels. So we've all possibly got that to look forward to. I bet the grub's good as well. Can you imagine? It's not going to be your old bangers and mash or anything like that. It's going to be some bacalhau on the Meals on Wheels, I think. However, we have been doing some work for someone in a much more remote place where they have no bread delivery, but there is a fish person weekly and someone who does groceries from the nearest mini presso. Although they don't appear to work for them. That's really sweet. That's community life work there. Alan talking about Trás-os-Montes. If anyone has any experience of that area where depopulation is a big issue, apparently, Trás-os-Montes and Alto Douro, does anyone have any info on that area? Do respond to Alan in the comments. And this is a responding to the medical question earlier on. Maria, thank you, Maria. You're here tonight. I live kind of in the country, 6 kilometers from Tamar, and there is a Centro de Saúde here, which is the health center, and the doctor comes every Wednesday. Isn't that great? So the doctor visits once a week, and you can see the doctor at the local health center there. Interestingly, in Portugal, tiny villages have a pharmacy, don't they? And a multi-Branco machine. I don't know if you've seen that on your travels, Phil and Kimberly.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know. It's just down from Adelina's.
Oh, of course. Everything revolves around her. Preliminary results, Thomas says, of the 2021 census are now available, showing a total 2% population reduction for Portugal as a whole. But this is a dramatically different by area, and he's going to post up some graphics. So interesting with the demographics and the population density, etc. Thank you for that, Thomas. Back to Sarah then. Sorry, we got cut off talking about the animals, Sarah. Who else is in the menagerie?
Okay, that was my favorite bit coming up, the goats.
Okay.
I love my goats, obviously, and I can't imagine life without them, even though they're a handful because they're still all babies. I only have 3, but from what we've learned, I've planned to grow very slowly too, because it's hard getting used to having new animals, and I think that's how I don't know if this is the best idea, but I plan on any animals I get in the future, I want them babies just after they've finished with after the mother's ready to give them away.
Yeah.
So they don't develop the bad habits of an older animal with them.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm explaining properly, but the first we had an old goat, I guess. We used to milk her, and then she ran away, so we lost her, which is pretty sad.
Sure.
But because she was with us and the babies, they would follow everything she does, and she was like, I'm not doing anything you tell me to do.
Okay.
But after she disappeared, all the babies they listen to me. I've been able to train them a little bit, and so now I'm thinking for other animals, any other animals, I think I will get them young so they don't learn the bad habits. You know, Molly's here. Talking
of bad habits, how's Molly? She just turned up, didn't she, on your place? Is that right?
No. We had been wanting to get a dog for a while, but we went to the pound and we wanted a puppy, and they didn't have any puppies at the time. And then they called us up to say that they found this one in the dustbin. She was just 2 days old.
Okay.
Yes. 2 days old with another 3 baby boys, because sometimes this happens. I mean, it's not nice, but it happens over here. And he said, we're going to keep her with the other 3 boys for the next month or so, and so they stay together till they grow up a little bit, and then you can come and pick her up. But after 2 weeks he found us and he's like, come pick her up. I'm busy, you know, his hands were full, and yeah, we just went to get her, just 2 weeks old. She was just so cute. I mean, still with the bottle, and
oh, she's so beautiful. I'm clearly delighted to be with you as well. I saw that special connection you've got there, Luke, with Molly. You were talking to each other. With the goats then, do they speak English, Portuguese or Maltese, or a mixture?
The goats speak English because I speak English to them.
But I see.
I love this. Yeah, I guess they only know English now. But we go out in the morning. I go and pick them up, and we go and do some work around the land because we're clearing the land. And we just spend a couple of hours in the morning, and then when they're ready to go home, we come home because they like spending the hottest time of the day. It's crazy, but as soon as they're really hot, they start crying because they want to come back into the goat house.
Just like Luke, really. Then.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really good because I'm seeing such a change in, at least I'm clearing land, and this is back to that subject of clearing the land and clearing it slowly. I think I'm saving a bit of time because as we clean slowly, we're uncovering trees that otherwise might have been destroyed by a bigger machine than my hands.
Okay.
And now, like even just yesterday, we cleared a small area, but I saved 2 cork oaks and like 3 olive trees. So this place is going to be clear, and the trees are going to grow. And instead of replanting, they're already there, and they're like 2 years in or 1 year in. And now that they're being freed from all the brambles, they're gonna thrive.
How amazing!
You know, so yeah, that's why I feel so like satisfied at the end of every day. Plus that I'm finding awesome things. Like I found a terraced wall, so we didn't know, we're just seeing bushes in places that we start out, and now I found that we have 2 terraces. I haven't got to them yet, but I can see the start of them, which is so exciting.
And this is just with 3 baby goats. You know, we do plan to eventually have 6 females eventually in a year or 2. You know, that's the maximum we want. So with 6 adults, you'll be able to clear so much more
for sure
than just 3 babies, you know.
Amazing. It's just
exciting. I love having goats. They're all really cute. They all have different characters, and it's so nice to watch them.
Fabulous. Okay, I'm going to come to a kind of concluding question before we go to a more of a hands up session to you both, which is really about it looks like a very romantic dream, and it is in many ways. You know, would you recommend it to other people, and what are the pitfalls? So we'll come back to that for both you, Luke and Sarah, and Kimberly and Phil. But I know some of our Ask Our Expats folks who are here as well, who want to contribute tonight. We've got someone here who I think lives part rural and part on a boat. Sarah, are you there? Sarah Fage, are you there? Are you with us tonight? Okay, maybe not. Any of our other Ask Our Expats folks who want to contribute at this point, who I've missed? Oh, Sarah is muted. Let's unmute Sarah so she can speak if that's possible, please.
Hi.
Oh, there you are. Are you on the boat tonight? Yes, you are. Fantastic.
Yeah,
look at you.
I'm anchored at Praia de Luz.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Are you playing backgammon and drinking gin and tonics?
Actually, I've been playing chess last week, but since I'm by myself, I am no longer playing board games.
Oh, I see. Solitaire. Okay, fair enough. What would you contribute to this, living the rural life? I mean, you know, you're living the kind of water, the aquatic life, or the life aquatic.
Yeah. So I have land up the Guadiana, and I'm part of a big mixed European community there, as well as our local Portuguese neighbours. And I mean, I suppose I've been living alternative energy lifestyle for 30 odd years on the boat, and it's what most of us do up the river. We're all off grid. There's a lot of expertise and new technologies around, and you don't have to do without once you get that sorted out. I also had an easy time buying my land. I don't want to live on it, but I'm still got my year's supply of olive oil on board, and my year's supply of olives, and I also give quite a bit of it away as I go around. So I like working the olives. I've got pomegranates and figs. Don't ever see any of them. And I just love it through the winter, you know, as community and being just sort of more settled and embedded, because even though I don't live there, it still feels like home when I go anchor on the land and go ashore there, and got my neighbors and collect my firewood and all of that. So I just love the land I have.
So this is a kind of lifestyle that you can have in Portugal as well, part aquatic, part rural. That's really the kind of formula you've got, Sarah.
Yeah, there's a lot of us living on boats, and I've just been in Lagos the last week, and it's got a gorgeous marina if you're kind of that way inclined. That's a nice place and a nice lifestyle. But once you know boaters, you realise that there's a lot of us around.
Yeah, I didn't really know until you and I met. I didn't realise it was such a big scene, and people do ask this occasionally in the forum. You know, what's the life on boats like in Portugal? But sounds like you're singing its praises tonight.
It's hard not to. I mean, you've got flat seas and strong winds, and the sailing is amazing. But I expect it will all change, just like it's changed everywhere else in the world. But it's changing here a lot slower. So there's still some of the kind of old freedoms of boat life in Portugal that have kind of run out in most other places.
How lovely. What an amazing thing to be able to share tonight. Margarida Lopez, as well as wanting a ghost town that was mentioned before by Luke, that's on her shopping list now, Andy. Make a note of that. I'd love a boat. How much is yearly maintenance? Roughly, Sarah, what are the costs of maintenance? No idea.
It depends on the kind of boat you have and the lifestyle you lead. And it's less about the maintenance than where you keep it.
Of course.
So if you're in the marina, that would be the bulk of your annual cost. So I think it's really impossible to say without saying what kind of boat you're going for and how you're going to live on it.
But you can always trade olive oil for the work anyway, by the sound of it.
I don't think so. Not much value in olive oil.
All right. Fixed then. I don't know. So anything else you want to tell us about the life aquatic and then the south of Portugal?
The life aquatic. Well, my discovery this year has been about the difference between West Algarve and East Algarve as climates, with Lagos as like the cutoff, because the heat in the East Algarve, in the Guadiana and Culatra, and there are so many boats rammed around Culatra. It's normally about 20 boats, and there was about 170 there when I last came through in May.
Wow.
And it's just an insanely busy time of the year. People are heading to the Canaries and sort of getting ready for their Atlantic legs. There's a lot of boat movement around. And there's loads of people in Alvor, and it just amazes me when I come to places like this. I'm the only boat here. I'm the only one here. I don't really understand why. It's a little bit unnerving. But, then I was out in Sagres last week and the points west, and it was a bit wild, but again, I was like the only boat in the anchorage. I mean, it's amazing.
Well, are you expecting the maritime police to say, "Get out of the water"? Or...
No, I'm expecting like about 60 knots of wind to come and sweep me off my anchor.
Oh, you're the last one to have heard about it. I get you. Yeah. Well, thank you for inviting us into that tranquility. Really appreciate it. Stick around if you will, because people may well have questions for you. Want to ask Umberto, or introduce everybody to Umberto. He's our resident off-grid alternative. Well, he's not an off-grid strictly speaking, but he knows a lot about alternative technology. Umberto, have you managed to sort your camera out? Talking of technology.
I'm really sorry, but somebody... I installed a new program or an app, and I think this is going. I have to ask the guy to help me out to find out why it's not working.
We can hear you. We can hear you. What would you say about Portugal as a place to experiment with off-grid and alternative technology? You seem to be doing it.
Well, I came to an area which can be very rough in the winter, and I thought I could use the energy which is around better to have a standard, because I have German experience and I loved the houses that the Germans have, because these houses have a kind of a comfort and they're very good on that. And so I imagined some ideas and built it up a heating system, which is based on wood stoves, on gas, electrical, and solar, of course, because that is something that we have plenty of it, even sometimes in the winter. Okay, the hours are not enough, but if you have a big reservoir and if you have a possibility, for instance, to dissipate heat into a pool or something like that, then you can use very much better the solar system. So I decided to try something out, and probably, it's working. I have that now for 4 years, and it is quite interesting how CO2 neutral you can be and have a quite good standard of living in a house. Okay. It is also very important that you invest very good in good materials for insulation. I'm sorry if I do the word wrong, but so for instance, my roofs are with 20 centimeters of cork, pressed cork, damped. It has a air system so that it makes like a chimney system. So when it's summer, like you guys are complaining with 42 degrees in the shade, well, I have that too. And on that days, I'm so happy that I have a cool house. So I don't need any kind of energy to keep the house in an atmospheric ambience that you can support, you can think, you can, because 40 degrees in the sun, and if you have to walk, it's very heavy.
So hold on a minute. Your insulation is not just for the winter. It's cooling insulation, so you don't have to use aircon.
Look, I think insulation is something which goes always both ways. So if you insulate very good your house for the winter, it will help you also to keep the house cool in the summer. Well, I think this is it goes both ways. So what I had made is, for instance, I don't have tap water, what is called in the city region. So I have a deep bore that goes about 80 meters in the deep. I have to say that I live in an area which is Serra de São Mamede, which is a natural park. I'm not good in agriculture, so don't take me wrong, because I'm here. I love to live in nature, but I don't understand anything about it. I only observe it. Okay. So I have people to help me out in gardening and pruning trees and stuff, because I do understand peu à peu, but it's really not my thing, but I love to see it. Okay. And I like to see it good. And so my neighbors and everybody helping me out to teach me, or so, wow, so I don't make too much mistakes. Okay.
Amazing.
On that point. But technically, I can say that electrical part is basically not an issue, because the system that I created makes all the machineries that I use, for instance, that need hot water, like washing machine, dishwashers, and so on. They are connected straight to the hot water supply. So, for instance, if in the summertime, it is very funny, because I had to create taps which have a thermostat, and the thermostat, I need that because in the summer I have so much heat disponible and water that I don't want to use as heating in the house. So the water comes really hot out, and if you are, for instance, washing some wool stuff, you would not have the water from the tap coming straight in it, because then your pullover will be a third part of it. It's because it will boil it.
Yes,
so I had to make a tap to to cool down the water, so it will mix cold water in the summer, and in the winter normally you don't need. My heating system is quite efficient when it has a general temperature of 50 degrees. So if I have 50 degrees in 1,200 liters, which is my reservoir that I have for storing hot water. So it's you can imagine a thermocan, but the size of 1,200 liters. Okay.
Wow.
So this helps a lot to keep it stable. So even in the winter, when the sun is definitely not enough for that, I sometimes need only to put my wood stove on, and I will burn maybe about 20. Okay, I have to say that I have to heat up a house which has a height of about 5 meters. So the room, one of the rooms can reach 5 meters, and to get an ambience there that you can stay there in the winter with a jacket on and sitting and not freezing, well, I will need about 20 kilos of wood a day. Okay, this is affordable. Yeah, and the good part of it is my dishwasher is still using hot water from this wood that I'm burning. I can shower with that wood that I have burned in the sun. So it makes it very interesting for me because I'm using stuff that makes it CO2 neutral. So I'm not adding any kind of CO2 by fossil burning stuff. Yeah,
amazing. Humberto, it's fantastic, but can mere mortals do the same thing as you've done?
I think it is quite easy because I used basically physics that I have learned in school. And I have, of course, studied a little bit more about it because it made me curious. And then I studied some German guys because I speak German fluently. Definitely better than English, I'm sorry.
Right.
But there are very funny guys making, for instance, some workshops on YouTube and so on, who helps you out to make calculations, which is very interesting because I'm not an engineer. But if you know how to get to certain kind of numbers, it makes it easier to design it. Yeah, and then you have some ideas. What I'm doing to improve my system is, which I didn't have at that time when I was building it up, but I left everything prepared so that I can extend or add or change.
Yeah.
So it is quite. I think it is quite important that you think very straight. What do you really want, and what is really the needs you will have? Mm-hmm. So it makes it easier to predict. So if you use, for instance, I don't use very much photovoltaic to heat or to produce electricity or so. Yeah, I could do that, but I prefer to use the sun straight to have heat, because this heat in the summer, I can have a pool or a tank with 30,000 liters of water, and the sun will bring it up to a temperature which makes it nice. Yeah. Because here in the mountains where I have the water that comes out of the fountain is about 16 degrees in the summer. So even in the summer, it's damn cold. So if you can preheat a little bit this water, it makes it more comfortable. And in the winter, you will not use that because it doesn't matter if it is outside 8 degrees. Sometimes we reach these temperatures here in the winter during the night. During the day, you have always positive temperatures. It's never negative. But during the nights, you can reach sometimes -8 degrees. And you have to wait, until 11 o'clock, then the water will melt. Yeah, it's liquid again. But what I wanted to say with this is, in the winter, it doesn't matter if the tank is with -8 degrees cooled, as long as my home is quite comfortable and I use all the energy that the sun will provide in the heating for the house, and a little bit of wood, of course, that I will need. And it makes it nice because even in the winter, it is it's a nice feeling to see the firework burn, and you have friends around, buy a dinner or something like that, and you use all this energy, which will help you to keep the house for the next day.
Hold on a minute. What? So you invite friends around to keep warm? That's a little bit of a note to stop.
Yes, we do. We in the winter, it happens quite often that people come in my living kitchen, which is where we live and they have fun, and it's quite big, the kitchen, so we can have a couple of people and we do dinner together, and and the ambience is quite nice because it's nice. It's cool. It's
Umberto, you are a legend. And if you talk to him very nicely on the forum, he may well give you a little bit of help with your new alternative energy system there that you might be thinking about. Someone like Matty will be doing that, for example. Sounds like I'll need to talk and maybe meet up with Umberto to check out his system before I buy property.
Carl,
yes.
Allow me just to say something which is coming up in my mind last time. For instance, in the rural area where I am, I rarely do more than 100, 120 kilometers a day. So I was thinking having a small battery-based car where I can plug my solar panels that is going to load my battery of the car. It will provide me all the needs. So going to the supermarket, maybe there or that you have to do. And, and I think you can use these batteries of the car also to have a support of energy if you need at a house, for instance, if you need some more energy. So you use the car battery as a storage also for your energy that you will need maybe during the night where your solar panels are not producing any.
Very good.
It's just an idea.
Well, yeah, it's a twist on the Tesla idea, isn't it? Where you plug your car in and rob your house of energy. You're going to plug your car in and provide power to the house. Fantastic. Umberto, thank you so much for chipping in tonight. Really appreciate it. Do stick around if you will for a bit of Q&A. Just want to find out from Luke and Sarah and Kimberly and Phil, because look, they're probably getting cold now and it's going dark there. Luke did try and put the lights on, but I think what happened there, Luke?
Nothing. I bought a new torch today and I tried to put it on.
Okay.
It was more like a flashlight, so it wasn't.
All right. It looked a bit bright. Okay, we'll come back to you in just a moment. Phil and Kimberly, you look like you might be getting a bit chilly. Sat there at the foothills of the Monsanto village. Could you please answer that question? Would you do it again? Would you recommend it to other people? Is it too early to say what some of the downsides were with it, and have they disappeared now? Just as they're about to answer that question. Let's try you, Luke and Sarah, on that. Obviously, you're the smiles on your faces tell us a lot, and you've also said it's quite difficult. Presumably, you do it all again. You love the life you live, but what should people be aware of, and not be too romanticized about?
Well, they shouldn't be scared to make mistakes, because mistakes are going to happen all the time.
That's what you learn.
Yeah, that's what you learn. Like, there are things that we would have done differently, obviously, because we ended up spending money that we shouldn't have spent. Just we would never say don't do this because we love this life, obviously, but we have learned things the hard way by spending too much money on certain things and then having to suffer the consequences.
Yes.
Yeah, but we're also very used to roughing it, because we had spent about 10 years living in vans and tents and cars, traveling. We were used to not having running water everywhere we lived, and
yeah, true.
So coming to a piece of land where there was nothing, and it took some time to set up. Well, I just finished building my vermicomposting toilet. To set up all the basic needs.
Yes.
You have to rough it, unless you're going to live in a hotel until you build whatever you're building,
Yeah.
So for us, we were used to it. For some other people, I don't know if they've lived in a city all their life and are so used to having normal things like running water and a flushing toilet.
That sort of thing, yeah.
Yeah.
But for people who really want to do it, just be patient, because things don't just fall into your lap. Obviously, you have to work very hard to get everywhere. Like, every small thing takes so long. We plan to do one thing one day and we think it's going to take 1 or 2 hours. It ends up taking 2 weeks. So these things, if you're patient, you will get where you want to go eventually. But it's all about being positive and patient, I think, this life, because otherwise it's hard. It's a lot of hard work
but very
rewarding. Yes.
Because everything we do on our land makes our life more luxurious.
Yes, indeed. So positivity and patience, and it's not for the faint-hearted. For the likes of Jerry, the only campsite he'll go to is the Sheraton, apparently, is what he said. So it's probably not for Jerry. Others will decide for themselves based on your great information tonight, whether it's for them. Phil, Kimberly, it's going proper dark where you are.
It is.
So this process you've been through, this magical process you've been through, it just looks so wonderful. Any downsides that you would want to share with us, or has it just been magic all the way so far?
It's been magic all the way. Were we aware of downsides? Yes. We had the whole list before we set off. We weren't going to buy anything. We were going to make sure everything was as we wanted it. We weren't going to buy a ruin. We were going to make sure there was a habitation. We were going to make sure
that's one of the problems of off-grid living. We're hearing it right there, Phil. You're breaking up quite a lot there, Phil. And I couldn't make enough sense of what you were saying about to pass it on. Just try again. No, certainly not. But look,
what can you do?
What can you do? Indeed, that's the only bit I heard, Phil, was what can you do at the end. But I'm going to go with that. Let's go with that. I think you would do it all again. You're having a magical time. It sounded like you had a bit of a list of cautions, but that you've not had to worry about too much so far, anyway. Yes. People, Kimberly and Phil. It looks. I'm worried about you. I think you're going to get bitten by mosquitoes. You're going to get cold. You've had a busy and long day. Hornets. Okay, you've sat there so professionally whilst hornets have been buzzing around you. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. If you can stay for another 10 minutes, great, and answer any hands up Q&A. But we'll leave it there for now. Same with you, Sarah and Luke. Thank you, the four of you, so much. Thank you too to Sarah and to Umberto. What an amazing amount of information, a different look at life in Portugal tonight. Thank you both. Thank you all so much. Really appreciate it.